wants to split the country up anyway. He died in about 1849, 1850, I believe, and she nursed him on his deathbed. You start going back and looking at all of these sources, and you come across people who are barely remembered now. There was a Speaker of the House of Representatives named Cave Johnson. He was Rose's first boyfriend. And one of the things I discovered about him is one of his last acts in Congress before he became the Postmaster General for the United States was that he opposed Congress buying any copies of Robert Greenhouse's book. Might have been some good ones there. Now, I write fiction. None of this can be taken as absolute fact, but on the other hand, I use the facts that I have available. What happens in The Queen of Washington is that there is a geopolitical game going on which pretty much gets ignored in most Civil War histories these days because all we talk about are the battles. We don't talk about the secret stuff that went on before. You go back to the Texas annexation, the Texas, basically grabbing Texas away from Mexico, then annexing it to the United States, and we have a war with Mexico. And at one point, we could have taken over the whole country, and the only guy opposed to that was John C. Calhoun, for reasons which were interesting, a little distasteful. He didn't want to mix our blood with theirs. He figures if you conquer a country, you intermarry. And these people are Spanish and Indians and Negroes.
They're Catholics.
And Catholics. Oh, yeah. Well, Rose was a Catholic. Robert was a Catholic. Washington was interesting. It didn't really matter what your religion was as long as you were part of the game. And that's what Rose did. They played the game, Rose and Robert. So anyway, that's basically the underlying sort of pattern of the book. We start in 1850 in San Francisco, where Limantour is trying very hard to get these enormous land claims proven. And he keeps trying and he keeps trying. And thanks to Google Books, I was able to go back and actually read the pamphlet he produced and to read Robert Greenhouse taking a testimony for the California Land Commission from the various people who testified before he died, before him, all of the various claims that were made in his behalf. And it makes interesting reading, and apparently, the California Land Commissioners all approved these claims, which, by the way, included half of the city of San Francisco. Yeah, that would have been a mess. Everybody felt that they owned their property. And what Limantour did was he collected what he called taxes while the thing was in dispute. He said, 10% of what you pay for it every year until we resolve this. Well, that was $300,000 back when that was real money. So the federal district court says, this is a fraud, arrest that man. And basically, the Vigilance Committee probably should have hung him, but didn't. Well, why did that happen? Who was in charge of the Vigilance Committee? Well, not Lafayette Baker, but maybe Lafayette Baker. I use Lafayette Baker as a vigilante chief here because he later became the founder and the head of the United States Secret Service, the British version of it during the Civil War. And he ended up being one of Rose's jailers when she spied for the Confederacy. So you have all of these connections sort of interwoven together. This is how a good novel is constructed. You have to basically be very selective because you can be overwhelmed by your research. You have all of these little interesting diversions, all of these paths that you can follow but you shouldn't. One of the things that's sort of fascinated me about the Civil War is how lazy everybody is about writing about it. We do Gettysburg, we do Shiloh, we do, the burning of Atlanta, and we do it again and again and again, and everybody overlooks all of these other really fascinating people. The first mayor of San Francisco was a guy named John White Geary. Now he shows up in the Shenandoah Spy as one of the Union generals, but before that he was the mayor of San Francisco, and then he was the short-term governor of Kansas Territory because President Pierce thought maybe he could straighten out Kansas. You have all of these social interactions. when you start doing research like this, you really have to read very deeply. There's an awful lot of things going on that most historians say, well, I don't have a certifiable fact, I can't use this. This was Anne Blackman.